Hello, my name is Colin Wierts, and today I'll be presenting data from my PhD research at the University of British Columbia, particularly an examination of the construct optimal predictability in the context of exercise behavior. I would like to acknowledge the co-authors of this presentation, Dr. Edward Kroc and Dr. Mark Beauchamp. So the concept of psychological needs has received a great deal of attention in the physical activity domain, particularly from a self-determination theory perspective, which includes the basic needs of competence, autonomy, and relatedness. However, scholars such as Wilson and colleagues and Sheldon and colleagues have made the argument for testing other candidate psychological needs beyond the three SDT needs. Recently, in 2017, Carol Dweck proposed a model of psychological needs, presented on the right of the slide, which has similarities to SDT such that the basic needs of competence and acceptance map directly onto the SDT needs for competence and relatedness. A difference in Dweck's model from SDT is the proposal of the basic need for optimal predictability, which refers to the need to understand and predict the relationships between events in one's world. Based on the contentions of Wilson and colleagues and Sheldon and colleagues, the purpose of this research was to examine whether optimal predictability prospectively explains unique variance in exercise-related well-being above and beyond the three SDT needs. Based on Dweck's definition of optimal predictability as the need to understand and predict the relationships between events in one's world, we drew on two outcomes that are considered important in the context of exercise, that being the affective outcomes and whether exercising will be instrumental for desired outcomes such as health benefits. Drawing on the work of Connor and colleagues, participants were asked to consider exercising the following day and make a prediction about the degree to which they would experience positive affect and the degree to which the exercise session would be instrumental for their health. In order to address the study purpose, a community sample of 346 adults completed measures of psychological needs at time 1 and measures of well-being at time 2, 4 weeks later, via an online survey. The needs for competence, autonomy, and relatedness were measured with scales used in past physical activity research, and composite reliabilities were calculated for each scale as well as for the optimal predictability subscales. Exercise-related well-being was measured using two scales, that being an adapted version of the Diner scale of positive and negative experiences, and an adapted version of the Ryan and Frederick subjective vitality scale. Composite reliabilities for each well-being subscale were also calculated. For data analysis, structural equation modeling with maximum likelihood estimation was used to examine the relationships between the psychological need variables on the left and the well-being outcomes at time 2 on the right. Overall, the model had acceptable fit, as shown in the top left corner, and only significant paths between latent variables are shown. The correlations among the latent psychological need variables and latent well-being variables were in the expected direction, and the model explained a significant proportion of variance in each latent well-being variable. What is evident in the model is that prediction of affective outcomes explain unique variance in each latent well-being variable while controlling for each of the SDT needs. Also worth noting is that the prediction of affective outcomes was the most consistent correlate of well-being. Overall, the present study lends initial support for the importance of optimal predictability in the context of exercise, specifically the prediction of affective outcomes in relation to exercise-related well-being. Future research can address ways to experimentally manipulate an individual's prediction of positive affect in the context of exercise and examine the effects on exercise-related well-being. Also, because construct validation is ongoing, future research can accumulate validity evidence to support score interpretation of measures assessing optimal predictability and understand the mechanisms that account for and explain score variation in optimal predictability measures. I thank you for listening, and feel free to contact me at the email address below if you have any questions, and I would like to thank SSHRC for financially supporting my PhD work.